And so one is basic nutrition, like
Hmm.
not even just while running, taking care of that too, but having that recovery part of I have to eat carbs and protein after I run, and even when I'm not hungry. So part of it is that recovery nutrition that I really have to focus on. And then
Hmm.
just throughout my week, like, oh, is this upsetting my stomach? This is um what's not, what's smooth, making sure I get all my proteins, carbs, and vegetables and fruit in throughout the week, and not just changing things up like 2 weeks before the marathon, but just continuing to make sure that my nutrition's on point throughout.
You are listening to the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast with your host, Eric Logan. No Gimmicks, Just Sweat is dedicated to hearing the journeys and unique stories behind an athlete's training and what drives them. Get inspired to own your life and make the impossible possible. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Also, please take a few seconds to rate the show and drop me a review. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello and welcome to this episode of No Gimmicks, Just Sweat. And today we welcome back for the third time Miss Kara Ollick to the show. Kara, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me back again.
Oh, thank you for again coming back. So that must means I'm doing something right. You wanted to come back.
You're doing it all right.
Oh, thank you. You're gonna make me blush. So we're bringing back out just to kind of see what you've been up to. Thought you online and to kind of start back from when we last talked, which was episode 27. um, to kind of pick one race you've done several, but you've done a multitude of races since then. Kind of get an update of what's been going on, what big races you've ran since our last conversation, and what you have coming down the pipe.
Okay. Well, I guess my big race is, I'm pretty sure, Boston,
Yes.
because I qualified for Boston at New York.
Right.
And so I ran Boston 2022. It was my very first Boston marathon. It was amazing. And it's my new PR
Oh, okay. Okay.
and my new Boston qualifier. Yeah. I don't know that I've ever had a race go as smoothly as that Boston. I think I got lost in the crowd and the hype and the pump and stance, and I just kept running, and it was a really smooth, amazing race. People say, don't go out too fast. And while I was running, I was like, how can I go out too fast? There's thousands of people surrounding me. There are too many people to run fast. We're just gonna have to go together as a mob. And
Right.
I was very cautious because I have before ran a marathon. I ran Chicago one year and had an extra mile from all the side running. So I was very careful not to do a lot of swerving because I don't want a lot of extra mileage. That kind of thing makes me mad.
Right.
So I just stuck to it since I was still on goal marathon pace. So I just stuck to it and didn't run too fast, didn't go out fast because people didn't let me. But it is a beautiful course, but there are hills. Someone said the first half is downhill. That's a lie. It's a lie. Um, I felt the first uphill at mile 6, and I was like, this is not halfway.
Okay.
But thankfully, I live in Atlanta, and I
Yes.
trained at what we have, Stowe Mountain. So I
Okay.
trained going around there. I went around there 4 times, which is constantly rolling hills. So
Yes.
I trained for those hills. So when those hills came, I go, I got this. You can throw all the hills you want at me. Is not gonna phase me. But it was a smooth race. I got all my hydration in, I got all my fuel in. The people are absolutely amazing. They line the streets, they're cheering you on. There's a lot of emotion. I mean, when I finished, I was a little in awe. But I'm pretty sure the first thing I asked my coach was, "Who won? Who was the first American?"
All right, and it sounds like you enjoyed yourself in Boston. So much. You're gonna do it again this year.
Oh, of course, because I have said to myself, as long as I'm qualifying, I'm going.
Okay.
And then if I make it and if I qualify, I'm going to go. And at this point, it's still my PR. So I'm training right now for it again. So I'll train for a PR.
Okay. So while we're talking about it, let's kind of keep in rolling with the Boston
Okay.
talk. So based upon what you were training for your first Boston, are you going to kind of still go with that same plan with this Boston that's coming up, or are you going to kind of change your training plan a little bit?
Well, Coach and I changed it a little bit, and the little bit that we changed is I was running 5 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
so we upped the running to 6 days a week. So there's still two strength training days, an arm and a leg day, two core days, and then just put an extra run to get the little extra mileage in, a little bit more time on my legs.
Okay.
So we made that changing as far as the running. I'll still do the hills like crazy. My long runs, once we get into those longer runs. They'll be at Stone Mountain, so I can get that constant hill, try to do some speed on the hills. So that will stay the same. But in between Boston and now, I ran CIM and my
Mm-hmm.
stomach tore up. So my dietitian and I are changing my fueling.
Okay.
So I think sugar bothered me. And I don't know if it was the taste of the sodium or what. So my carbs didn't sit well after mile 13 and my electrolytes didn't sit well after mile 6. So we've changed both of those up in this training cycle. And so far, so good. I took out the sugar from the carbs and then just totally training with a total different electrolyte. So there's some changing going on just based on my last marathon.
Okay. And I'm just kind of curious from how you were fueling with Boston and how you fueled in CIM. Were you pretty much using the same thing, or did you kind of deviate between those two races? Because I think what Boston was like in April time frame, and then CIM was December.
Yeah, I kept everything the same because New
Okay.
York qualified me for Boston, and Boston qualified me for Boston. So I trained the same way because they both went very well. But something happened during CIM. I don't know what it was, but my stomach wasn't handling it with mile 6. It got so bad that I called my coach at mile 9. I said,
Oh wow.
yeah, I said, this isn't going well. I don't feel good. And she was like, okay, hold on. I'll get back to you. And she got in contact with my dietitian and she's like, okay, stop drinking, the electrolytes, take in the water, do what you can. But yeah, it was a rough one. So, I guess with body changes, as I get older, I mean, I am 46. So I guess with changes going on, my body just wouldn't accept the same thing. But I felt validated because Kira D'Amato,
Mm-hmm.
our second fastest American woman runner, marathoner. So she also said she had a race where things that had worked didn't work anymore.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I feel validated. It's not just me. It happens to others. They
Right.
have to change the system. So I guess I'm changing the system too.
Right. And the fortunate thing that you have a coach and you have a dietitian, you have people that you can kind of reach out to and kind of say, hey, something doesn't feel right, what's your advice, and that can work with you to kind of tweak things a bit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So in between there, you've done a lot of other races. So, you've kind of gotten some podium wins, on some of them. Don't be modest. Don't be humble and modest.
I have. I'm trying to remember back. I've done some races. I used to do a lot more before my coach, but she kind of keeps me on the little narrow path with my races. But yeah, I've got out now there and doing a few. I'm trying to think which ones I have done since New York. I've done what did I do? I've done Albany half marathon, which used to be the Snickers half marathon, and now it's
It's
going to be
combo.
it's the combos
Yes.
now.
Yes. I am actually running that half marathon this year.
Me too.
I will see you down there.
Yeah. So I got I think it was first in my age group last year at that. It was almost a half marathon PR. In fact, I thought I was on half marathon PR pace, but my watch had the course a little long, so it pushed me off by a little bit. So
Okay.
but that was a great one. And of course I run with the Atlanta Track Club, so I ran their resolution run 5K.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, I think I placed first in my age group there. So yeah, I'm try to run some smaller races and get on that podium every once in a while when I can.
Okay. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Again, don't be modest. Don't be humble. Don't be modest or humble. So are you? So looking at you doing Boston again, you've done Chicago. Are you looking to kind of continue that world tour?
Well, yeah, when I realized that, my friends were talking about it. I think you know her, India Cook.
Yes. Oh, we all know India.
I know. If you're in
Who
Atlanta,
doesn't
you know
India?
India. You're right.
Yes.
But I thought I heard her and Tommy talking about getting their stars because they ran New York. And I was like, wait a second. I haven't applied for my stars. I didn't realize you had to apply for your stars. So I do have the New York star they gave me, the Boston star they gave me. They didn't give me Chicago, but I can apply for it. It's just quite the process to apply for it. You have to like have your like Chicago certificate and all that. So I just have to go back and find it and apply for it. And then I was like, well, then I already have half of them. So yeah, I do feel like London should be in my future. It's just so hard to get into like London and Tokyo and Berlin. But I think I'm going to give it a try.
Give it a try.
I'm going to give it a try.
Try. You're like, hey, I've done 3. You might as well.
I know. I'm halfway there. So I feel like.
Exactly.
Right, exactly. And Kipchoge is running Boston. So I feel if Kipchoge's going for his 6, I'm going to have to go for mine.
Yes. Yes. That is going to be interesting. Kipchoge there, I was like, yeah, he's finally coming over here on American soil and run.
And with the hills. The hills. He's running some hills.
and knowing this Kipchoge, that this will be the one where he breaks the record.
Right. He will.
He'll be
somehow
the one
end up negative splitting Boston.
Exactly. This will be the one we'll be sitting up here like, okay, yeah, he's the GOAT. All right, he's the GOAT. So as far as with you're running, you continue to run, you continue with training. What else has been going on with you in regards to running? What things have you? And whatever kind of word it's got, have you had any enlightenment? Anything that, as the years have come, you've kind of gone like, I didn't realize this, but now I realize that, those types of things as a runner.
Yeah. There have been a few, especially since, reflecting on CIM and CIM not going well and having a breakdown after CIM in the hotel. I'm reflecting. One, I'm 46, so I am getting older and my body is changing. And so one is basic nutrition, like not even just while running, taking care of that too, but having that recovery part of I have to eat carbs and protein after I run, and even when I'm not hungry. So part of it is that recovery nutrition that I really have to focus on. And then just throughout my week, like, oh, is this upsetting my stomach? This is, what's smooth, making sure I get all my proteins, carbs, and vegetables and fruit in throughout the week, and not just changing things up like 2 weeks before the marathon, but just continuing to make sure that my nutrition's on point throughout just the year, life.
Okay. So the one I get to ask about too, strength training. Are you incorporating more strength? Are you not?
I am, yeah. So part yes and part no. So I do core 5 times a week because I just do my little core. I've made it into my morning routine, so that I've been able to do without a problem. Then I've been able to incorporate arm day once a week like I'm supposed to.
Okay.
Where I haven't gotten good at is doing the 1 day of leg day. So that's the one that is the hardest for me to get in. And I think it's just a mental thing. I got a couple plyometrics in there. So I can do the plyo lunges and the plyo squats. And those really hurt. And so I think it's just I think it's just a mental thing against those.
Well, as they say, you don't skip leg day. You don't skip leg day. And and I pick, and I kind, even though I kind of pick a little bit, I always tell people was that, as you get older, you kind of start to realize that, strength training is important. It's not the aesthetic parts of, lifting weights and stuff. It's more of keeping your functional strength going.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with it because I can see it in the core when
Hmm.
I'm running Stone Mountain and running up the hills. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. Like my core is getting stronger and stronger. I can feel it. And I know I need the leg day because I'll be going around, I'll be on that 8th mile or something. I'll be like, yep, I can feel my glutes. I shouldn't feel them this way. I need to do my leg day. So I know it. I just haven't jumped in yet.
Well, I will try to nudge you every now and then.
Yeah, much
I,
appreciated. I need
I,
that.
I will nudge and like, hey, I got my strength training in. Did you get yours in?
All right. That sounds perfect.
All right. So, and I noticed you're also an avid reader as well.
Yeah.
So, what are some good books on running that you've read recently?
Okay. So what I'm reading recently, because usually when I do read, it's running related.
Right.
Oh, Alison Desir's book, Running While Black.
Mm-hmm.
That book is phenomenal. I
Okay.
think everybody should read that, not just runners, teachers, community members, parents. That is a phenomenal book, very eye-opening
Mm-hmm.
for me. But the way she tells her story really draws you in and to see what she went through and what she goes through and the way she's advocating for diversity in the sport. I absolutely love it. And she is coming to Atlanta, just so you know,
Oh, okay.
marathon weekend. She's coming to
Oh,
Atlanta, so I'm very excited. Yeah.
okay. Okay. Good to know.
So that is a phenomenal book. And right now I'm reading Lauren Fleshman's Good for a Girl. So that's also another phenomenal book. And she's just telling her story. And right now I'm in the point where she's in college, but just seeing, the eye opening of what the women were going through, what the young ladies were going through, the pressures that were on them. And some of them ended up with eating disorders, which ended up in injuries, and some saw it and some didn't. Just seeing that culture and then just also knowing some of the changes that are made on the teams, being made on the teams, which I really enjoy. So it's interesting because they're both like the history of running, but from like two different perspectives.
Okay.
So those are really interesting. That's what I'm reading. Then I'm also went way back into and reading Running with the Buffaloes, which is about the University of Colorado men's cross country team. But Adam Goucher is, of course, one of the characters in it. So that's very interesting. It's more like a journal of like how they trained and what they went through up until this certain race. And it's just very intriguing to me too.
Okay. Okay. So I want to ask you. You're an avid runner. You're a regular runner. And there's no stopping you. So, what or who inspires you to continue to do this? And the reason why I ask that question is that a lot of people, and I've ran into a couple of people recently that they're going to that whole thing. They're of age. They're older,
Mhm.
and they're trying to they want to do something. You can tell that they want to run, or they want to improve their health, but they kind of like, yeah, they're still into that whole, yeah, it's too late for me to start this. I'm too old to be doing that. That's too much. So what inspires you to keep going, and what advice can you give someone who's kind of in that state, in that point in their lives?
Okay. Um, it's kind of multi answer for me. I guess I got a few things. One, I'm a goal oriented person.
Hmm.
So for me, I always have a goal. So, this training for Boston, of course, a goal would be a PR. But in that help of that is that I have a coach that believes in me. So even when I have a bad day or something like that, she pushes me through. She motivates me. Like this morning, I was whining. I said, it's cold, it's raining, and the park I run out is flooded. And she was like, these runs are crucial. You don't know what race day is going to be like. So I'm like, yeah, okay. Out the door
Right.
I go. So I have that to have someone that actually believes in you and believes you can actually go faster than you feel you could go faster. So that helps too. Being a teacher does because the kids kind of think it's cool. A few of them raced me on
Ah,
Friday.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's on Strava, so it happened. So what happened was this though. It was 4 boys. And I told them not to elbow me because last year the students elbowed me and I just jogged it in. So they didn't.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
So this year they didn't elbow me, but one
Okay.
ran right in front of me. Like, so he went diagonally in front of me, which helped everybody. All 4 of them beat me because he ran right in front of me and cleared the path for everybody.
They had a plan.
I feel like it. I feel like they had a powwow at recess and said, "This is what we're going to do to Miss Ollick." So I said, "Excuse me, sir. I'm going to need a rematch because you so cut me off." Little competitive, even with 10-year-olds. So
yeah, of course.
We're going to have a rematch if the weather, is kind to us. We'll have a rematch tomorrow at recess. So hopefully it'll go better for me.
Okay.
Yeah. So they inspired me because they see me run and they see me active and they're like, race me. So that encourages me to keep running and to stay in shape, that I could share it with kids. And then maybe that would have an impact on them in some way or shape or form, that they would want to be a part of their running community at some point in time. So I love that. But I also love, today I was running in Atlanta, saw a few people and Wave had said, hey, and they asked me to join their run. But it's just those kind of things, is that we motivate and we inspire each other when we see each other out there, when we see them on social media, when we know, like, we've gathered. And I love the running community, because we all know on social media, a lot of times we put the good stuff, but it's nice when you have that community where you can just say, wow, I had a bad race. It didn't go my way. I was out there for longer than I wanted. But you have that community and you can tell them that. And then the next day they're like, wow, you just inspired me to get back at it. I was like, wow, thank you. So I think that's just inspiration from the community. Even if I just impact, one person, 2-person, motivate or inspire them by what I'm doing at 46, running the best I ever have, then that's pretty amazing.
Yes, definitely. And I noticed, like, when I run, on the days when I'm in the office and I do my morning runs on the belt line, there are those people that you see regularly that you kind of get used to seeing, and you can kind of tell that smile or that, like, hey, what's up, that kind of comes out, and that kind of helps out and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I love it and I even do, I will pause my watch. If someone says, hey, Kara, while I'm running, I'm like, pause my run. Hey, how are you doing?
Right.
But I'll take that time and stop. I love it when people say hey to me when I'm running. I'll take that time, stop, talk to them, see how their run or walk went. I love it. But I think that's the community we are. We're just here for each other. We're nice. We're friendly. We're kind. At least we try to be.
Yes, we try to be. And for the most part, most people are.
Yeah. I would agree.
But most people are generally, it's just that, when you see a person out there working and stuff, it's kind of that validation that you're not doing it alone. That, hey, if this person out here, I must be doing something right. If this person, I see this person every day and I'm out here every day, okay, they're grinding just as hard as I am.
Right. It's like that mutual respect. So,
yeah.
It was raining earlier, cold. I could see my breath. It was not the weather I wanted, but I got out there anyway. And I was like, look, I'm not alone. There are a lot of us out here.
Oh, yeah.
Just grinding it out, because we all have our goals. We all have our mission. We have our races we're training for. And it's just that mindset. You get out and get it done. I mean, hey, I've seen pictures just today of people are running in snow. So I guess this is okay.
Oh, yeah. You got to remember now, we live in Georgia, and you're in the Atlanta area.
Right.
There are people who deal with much worse weather than we do.
That is true. That is true.
Because with us, if one single snowflake falls, Atlanta shuts down.
Wait up.
Everything shuts down, and then that's why the northern states are like, really? Really?
That's true. That is true.
So, all right. So Boston comes up in April.
Yep.
What do you have planned after Boston?
Wow. Everything is planned in between. In 2 weeks, I'll do the Donna half marathon in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay.
to do that test of where's my fitness now, because I have a very conservative coach. So after CIM was December 4th, I had to take a whole week off of running. And then the next 2 weeks were very low mileage, all easy, no speed. So pretty much I didn't really get to start training until January. So we'll see where I'm at Donna in a couple of weeks. And then I'm going to run the combos. So hopefully at the combos, I can pull out a half marathon PR. And then it's Boston. And then after that, I actually don't have anything on the calendar except, I'll do the Peachtree because, well,
Right.
it's what is it, the world's largest 10K? I
Yes.
mean, yeah. So got to pull out the Peachtree. And I'm thinking for my next marathon for the year, it might be the Indy, was it the Monumental in Indy? So,
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah. I hear that one's nice and flat. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I've learned not to trust people when they say stuff is flat until
Right.
I actually run it.
But that's like CIM.
Right.
People said it is a net downhill, just like Boston is a net downhill. But the thing is, there were more hills, like uphills, than I had paid attention. And I think that's one of the things that went wrong with CIM is I didn't pay as much attention as I normally do to the course. I just was like downhill, net downhill. And it was
Right.
hillier, and I did not train at Stone Mountain. So I did not really get that hill work in. And yeah, my body slowly broke down on that one. So using that to think, okay, now I'm going to pay attention to these courses and the hills that they have, even if they're smaller than Atlanta, so that I can really be prepared for the races.
Okay. But yeah, usually when people say, "Oh, it's flat. It's perfectly flat," you don't have it. I go like, "Okay, right."
Right.
And I did get caught with that at a race last year. That was a duathlon. It's like, "Oh, it's flat. The run course is flat. The bike course is flat." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." And on the bike course, it really was flat.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, "Okay, I need to change my strategy up a little bit." Because I always prepare for some type of hill, And I was like, okay, this is flat. I need to switch things up. So I had to switch on the fly to just deal with just straight flat. And I mean, it literally was flat. Which, most people don't complain about, especially on the bike. But it's like, yeah, when you're used to the hills and that's how you kind of build up your momentum and speed, on the bike, it kind of, it throws you off your game a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I can see that. I mean, because even if you look at the pros, you have some that are stronger at like the flat races and then some that are stronger with the hillies. Like we all have our strength. That's even me. I'm a little concerned because like my PR was New York and then it was Boston. I was like, am I just better at the harder courses? So, yeah. So Indy might be the more of a challenge to me than Boston, just because it is flatter than Boston or New York. So we'll see.
You have the advantage because you run in Atlanta.
That is true.
If you can run in Atlanta, you can run anywhere. That's what I tell everybody. If you can run in Atlanta, you can run anywhere.
Good point. Good point. Hey, I think those that ran the Olympic trials marathon would probably agree.
Oh yes, definitely. Well, Kara, it was great catching up with you. But I want to make sure that if there's any last words or anything you want to have or share with the listeners, feel free, put it out there.
All right. Yeah, I would just put this out here. If you can't, and I'm learning, so this is something I'm learning myself. So not that I have this perfected, is that if you have a bad race, so I had a bad race at CIM, I meant like I broke down, my body broke down, even my toes were hurting for the last half of the marathon. I sat down to adjust my shoe twice trying to figure life out. It was hard, and mentally I started just to break down, and I had to do some walk breaks and everything. And then, I got done. And when I got done, people asked me how my race was. I was like, not what I wanted, not what I wanted. And they were like, yeah, I had a bad race too. But then they would say, I PR'd, I BQ'd. And I was like, well, I wish on my bad day I PR'd or BQ'd. I wish that was my goal, but that didn't happen. But just to put that in perspective, it's not that outcome that defines us. One race doesn't define us. It's one day. And we can't predict what's going to happen on that day. We can't predict what our body's going to do at times, what the weather is going to do. So you get that one bad run or that one bad race, keep at it. Don't let that deter you or get you upset or off track. Just know we all have them. Pros have them. We have them as everyday runners. But get out there, set another goal, put another race on the calendar, go for a run with a friend, change up location, just get back at it. And don't be so hard on yourself. Sometimes it's not about the pace, it's about the journey.
Oh, I love it. Boom, you just dropped the mic. I love it. Kara, again, thank you for coming on to the show. Keep inspiring, keep running.
I'll do my best.
All right, and then we'll catch up after Boston once you kind of, you PR.
All right, that's the goal. That's the goal.
Hey, I'm cheering for you. I'm rooting for you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
All right, you take care.
All right, thanks. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast. We really appreciate everyone who tunes in each week. If you enjoyed today's show, please support us by subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember to tell your friends about the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast, so we can continue to have awesome conversations with everyday athletes just like you. Until next time, have an amazing week.